welcome back to a book discussion. Now, this one I'm kind of really passionate about because it involves one of my favorite book series ever. This is Shatter Me. Okay, if you're here and you have read, I'm assuming everyone here has read the book trilogy. Started, finished, has read it all, loves it. And you may be sitting here wondering, wow, should I read the second trilogy of Shatter Me? We have Shatter Me, we have Unravel Me, and we have Ignite Me. And it made a perfect trilogy. Perfect. Ignite Me was released in 2014, so the series started, finished, 2014, wrapped up beautifully. And then Tahereh Mafi was like, I'm gonna release a second trilogy. So she released a fourth book in 2018. I was like so ecstatic. I was like, okay, we're gonna see kind of everything unravel. We're gonna see the world be improved. We're gonna see the reestablishment be dissolved and everything be made up, and it was gonna be beautiful. That is not the case. I'm gonna be talking to you guys and telling you why you should not read the second trilogy that Tahereh Mafi has come out with. So we have Restore Me, then we have Defy Me. Nope, is it Defy Me? Crap, what's the fifth one? Yep, we have Restore Me, Defy Me, and Imagine Me. Beautiful titles. I was like so excited. Restore Me, I read that one and it was really good. What Restore Me was kind of about was, oh well, it did nothing for really the story. Restore Me was super slow moving, lots of inner dialogue, and lots of Warner and Juliette trying to feel like they deserve each other. Of course, Juliette being like spoken to about Warner's secrets, and of course Warner being like, I don't deserve Juliette. I have all this past trauma. Warner, we know this. We knew you were a monster. And so of course Juliette's like, no, I love you. You've changed. And so that book is more so just them strengthening their relationship, doubting their relationship. And for those of you who are here who have read the second trilogy, let's discuss why they sucked so bad. And I just want to go to our good old app, Goodreads. Imagine Me is the last book of the trilogy, the second trilogy. The sixth book. Okay, it's so confusing. It has 88,000 reviews and a 3.97 star rating, which isn't bad. Who's rating this? Because I just want to talk to them and be like, what good did you see in this? Okay, Mafi's writing was amazing. It was incredible. It never wavered. There's a lot more swearing and there's a lot more spiciness. So I feel like with that one, she was like, I'm just gonna do what I want. But if you look at like the most helpful ratings on Goodreads, you'll see they're all 1, 2 stars maybe. Someone said, Kenji's shoulders must hurt from carrying this book. He carried the whole last trilogy because Kenji was the only one that consistently held up his character development. That's the only one. So in Ignite Me, we see all this character development from Juliette, from Warner, absolutely destroyed. So Warner becomes a jerk again. He doubts that he can have a relationship with Juliette, kind of like, I don't know, this whole trilogy as well. Loses all that self-confidence. Literally everything that was good and progressed in Ignite Me was shot down. Here's just, let's talk. Warner goes back to his mean, selfish, really reckless self, and he doesn't care about anyone or himself again. And then we have Juliette, who then is captured by the reestablishment, brainwashed, and becomes a war weapon again. And then Anderson, of course, was healed by the reestablishment with their superpowers and is going to hunt Warner and Juliette again. I don't understand why we took all these steps backwards. Hi, kitty. Look at my cute cat. I felt like book 4, 5, and 6 were fan fiction. That's really how I felt. Those books weren't real to me. That was just some mind trip, and the first 3, I will just end there. Adam is a dumb side character, as he's always been since Unravel Me. So basically, Adam finds leverage. He's so dumb. He puts James in danger because he knows that like Warner will come to the rescue, and Warner and Anderson is back, of course, tries to destroy everyone and continually doesn't die because he has healers there. And I think he dies at the end, but we never really know. I mean, of course we know. We assume. Yes, he's dead. Who knows? Maybe in the next trilogy, he'll come back to life. Like, I don't know why Mafi chose to bring Anderson back because the reestablishment was still there. Like, Anderson didn't need to come back to create another obstacle for this next trilogy. And Juliette and Warner changing the world and making things go back to normal, unbrainwashing everyone. That could have been the obstacle. And yet they had to bring Anderson back. What's weird is that Restore Me set it up okay. It was like, okay, it was slow. Warner and Juliette are just going through this like kind of thing. And then at the very end of Restore Me, Juliette finds this picture. She finds this picture of her and Warner as children together. Because guess what? Throughout their lives, they've been constantly re-meeting each other. And then Anderson brainwashes them both and they never remember. Basically, we go through like Juliette's and Warner's past and we get to see all their meetings and that's really cute. And Anderson's of course abusive. And Warner was the Warner that we know and love. That was a nice touch. Oh, Warner and Juliette like have met. That was weird. But seeing that Warner naturally was a good guy. He was just so formed into this monster by Anderson and abused, right? But of course he like re-brainwashes Warner because he notices that Juliette slows him down and he constantly falls onto his knees for Juliette. And so Anderson was like, perfect, I will introduce Juliette as a bad form of weapon and then Warner will follow in her footsteps, blah, blah, blah. So that was basically his backstory for having Juliette be a weapon in the first 3 books in Shatter Me, Ignite Me, and everything, was because he was like, Warner will back this plan up. Obviously that backfired in his face because Juliette's a good person and turned Warner good instead of Warner turning Juliette bad. But that part didn't quite make sense to me. Then we find the one person that actually holds all the power to destroy people and mind control them is Juliette's long lost sister, because Juliette's adopted. And her real parents were not the ones that neglected her and sent her to a prison, but her real parents were like leaders for the reestablishment. You know how we have like Oceania leaders and other people? And they basically were like, our daughter can be a weapon. Basically their whole plan was to just use Juliette from the start. So like, I feel like the first plots of the books were ruined by the second trilogy. I was like, this just ruins it doesn't ruin it. Of course, the first trilogy is amazing. Oh, I forgot to say, Juliette's not even her real name. Juliette's real name is Ella. So every previous interaction that she's had with Warner that she can't remember when they were children, her name is Ella. And so I find this absolutely ridiculous that they're immediately like, yeah, I'm gonna go by Ella. Juliette, you've been known as Juliette to all of us for so long. Why Ella? We don't find that out till halfway through Defy Me. So there's 4.5 books and all of a sudden she's like, call me Ella. And everyone just is like, okay, except Kenji. He's like, that's weird. I'm gonna call you Juliette. And she's like, that's fine. Why isn't everyone like Kenji? Then they were like, and then we used our other daughter, Emmaline, I think is her name. Emmaline, she's like a water nymph or something. She lives in the water. Guys, this is so confusing. Tell me this isn't crazy. She lives in like, you know, she's like an avatar and lives in the water and is basically just communicating through telepathy with Juliette. And Juliette can just hear someone screaming for help. And Emmaline has also been destroyed by the reestablishment. Kind of a monster, kind of a good person, because she kind of destroys everyone with their mind control and like exploding things from afar. It's weird. I'm pretty sure Juliette, she wakes up in the 5th book and she's like brainwashed, and Emmaline kind of shows her reality. Like that's the only time that Juliette knows anything. Like Juliette doesn't know anything about herself because she's been brainwashed by her real mom. Because her real mom and dad are scientists and they've been working on her other sister Emmaline, trying, guys, I don't even know what happens. They're basically having the other sister in the lab, trying to destroy the world and mind control everyone. And then Juliette starts gaining all her memory back. Oh, nope, it's not till the end. Basically, Warner teams up with Kenji. Kenji's the greatest. We love him. He kind of has a thing for this other reestablishment daughter that we love. And she also has the power of invisibility, which was weird. She had two powers. She could fly and be invisible. I feel like she should have just been a flyer because I felt that was weird that two invisibility people end up finding themselves and falling in love. So Kenji's obviously really mad that someone else can be invisible, but whatever. It also doesn't make sense. She has two powers. That was a little side romance. That wasn't bad. I like that. I like Kenji. Kenji's hilarious. Basically, Kenji and Warner break into their establishment wherever Juliette is at, and Anderson has just pounded into her to be a freaking weapon and a freaking nuisance on the world. As she comes, and she's trying to kill Warner, and this is the kicker. Here's the kicker, you guys. At the very end, Juliette's like, oh, just a weapon. Like, literally is a robot. She's being controlled by Anderson. Anything that Anderson tells her to do, she will do. Somehow they're linked. And what's also weird is that Juliette is attracted to Anderson. That was weird. That was weird. And it's because in her, somewhere deep in her mind, she thinks of Warner. And Warner is reflected in Anderson. So then Anderson says, kill Warner, and so they're fighting and fighting. And then of course Warner just pulls her in and says, I love you, and they start making out. And then that's her turning point. Then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm back. What? I love the tension that we have in Shatter Me. It's always been great. But what was that? No resolution, just make out and then you're good? And then they go and kill Anderson and kill Juliette's parents, and ta-da. Then it's just back to where we ended in Ignite Me. The reestablishment is sort of more destroyed, but as much as it was in Ignite Me, then of course, like, the world is still a piece of crap. And, oh, Warner proposes. And they get married. Now Juliette's like the president of the world. Basically, she's like the lead commander or whatever, along with Warner. And they get a dog. And that was cute. The ending was cute. Of course, they are gonna get married, and Warner's really mad at Kenji. See, here's again, Warner is not just mad at Kenji, Warner is like really a jerk to Kenji the whole time. Kenji somehow ruined Juliette's wedding dress at the end, and so the epilogue is just her getting a new dress, and Warner's like, I'm so mad at Kenji, he's the worst, and she's like, it's fine, I'm just happy to get married. And then they get a dog, and they get married and have a happy life, I think. And basically they're like, at the very end, they go into like their house or somehow the Supreme Commander headquarters, and I think Adam is like their escort guy. You know how he's kind of in the army in the beginning? Randomly is there again. What? That's it. The one highlight of the book was Juliette threw Warner a surprise birthday party. That was kind of cute. He was turning 20. Also, hello, why y'all proposing at like you're 8? Juliette was 18 and he's 20 and like they all married. What? Warner is talking to Kenji at one point. This is like, I think in Imagine Me or Defy Me. This must have been Defy Me because Juliette wasn't brainwashed yet. But they were like in the safe land, and after Warner's birthday party, he had been discussing with Kenji how he wanted to marry Juliette. And Kenji's like, whoa dude, that's crazy, but if anything, do something really cute. And I was like, oh my gosh, Warner being a romantic, I'd love to see it. And then freaking Juliette and Warner go back home and they're like in bed together and he's like, marry me. They're just laying in bed and he's like, marry me. And Juliette starts crying and she's like, oh my gosh, yes. What? Where is everything I've been waiting for? It was gone. That's pretty much the entire trilogy. Now, of course, I'm thinking like back and I'm like, this was so dumb, but let me see initially what I thought. So in Restore Me, I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Restore Me, I said there's a lot of time left to character development, which I liked, but if you're expecting constant action and progression, it's not gonna happen in this book. The end is where it will really kick off. Juliette was my favorite in this book and actually relatable compared to the previous books in the series, so that was a plus. The book was also written in Warner's perspective every other chapter. A nice addition. That was very nice. We got Warner's perspective half and half in Restore Me. Kenji, as always, was the comedic relief I needed. Perfect. Then we have Defy Me. 2 stars out of 5. Also, I talked about like Defy Me is just such a roller coaster. It's too much to handle. But we do get Kenji's point of view in this book, which was awesome because I loved Kenji's point of view. But I thought it was really awesome that Mafi can switch between characters. Okay, so in Imagine Me, we lose Warner's perspective, so it's just Kenji's. and Juliette's, Kenji's, was the only perspective I ever enjoyed. He himself was great. I loved her writing with the consistency, but the plot drug out. There was useless side plots, and then just skimmed and cut to like weird parts and then skimmed through the most important parts. Overall, I felt like the whole trilogy, like not a lot happened, but at the same time, I really felt like Mafi rushed through the book. And I'm not sure if it's just because the story wasn't that great, that it was just like there wasn't enough beef to make it have sense, but basically, guys, you don't need to read it. I just told you everything, and just read the first 3 and you'll be happy and you'll be perfect and you're ready to go. And that's me as a diehard fan of Shatter Me. Thank you for watching. You guys take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.